5 eggs, 5 wildly different price tags. We're talking $1, $20, $70, $10,000, all the way up to $100,000. Each one is bigger, weirder, and honestly, way harder to explain than the last. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're walking through one of the most chaotic biological experiments I have ever seen. The mission? Hatch every single one of them. This isn't just about hatching pets. It's about what happens when you push a simple concept to its absolute, unimaginable limit. Okay, let's dive into this. The whole premise here is basically a ladder of escalation. We're starting simple and we're starting cheap, but every step up this ladder introduces new rules, new dangers, and ultimately, one massive mistake. We go from something you can grab on a quick grocery run to something that literally defies nature. So let's start at the absolute baseline, $1 single. That was the cost for a standard pack of 20 supermarket quail eggs. The creator of this experiment set them on the kitchen counter, looked at the carton, and probably realized this was either going to be embarrassingly easy or deeply humbling. Into the incubator they go. They needed to be held steady at exactly 37.5 degrees Celsius, and for 14 straight days, they were hand-turned 3 times a day. You'd think that sounds kind of meditative, right? Actually, it's just pure, tedious repetition. For over 2 weeks, absolutely nothing happened. But then on day 17, success. Within 20 minutes, 3 tiny chicks were up and running at full speed. 0 lessons required. Pure instinct just took over completely. They did need a heat lamp brooder because they couldn't regulate their own body heat yet, and their instincts were so sharp that during a head count, 1 chick actually went missing. After a frantic search, where do you think it was? It was found perfectly content, hiding inside a giant feed bag, just helping itself to an all-you-can-eat buffet. Once they outgrew that fluffy hatchling phase, they were released into the tall grass outside, where they vanished instantly. Turns out, food, not speed, was the only way to finally lure them back. All right, from a $1 supermarket run, we transition to the next tier. After spiraling down some very weird corners of the internet, the next egg was secured for $49.99. But add on a really steep shipping fee, and that brings the total investment to right around $70. We just took a massive leap here. I mean, think about it. A quail egg takes 17 days, needs 37.5 degrees, and is basically the size of a marble. But this new one? An ostrich egg. The largest egg of any living bird. This thing takes up to 46 days to hatch, sits at a cooler 36.4 degrees, weighs a massive 1.4 kilograms, and has a shell thick enough to support a full-grown adult standing right on it. You are essentially babysitting a giant, silent rock for nearly 7 weeks. Finally, after what feels like forever, day 40, a hairline appeared. Now, the absolute golden rule of ostrich hatching is that you do not help the chick hatch. It desperately needs that physical exertion to finish absorbing its yolk sac and build muscle. When it finally broke out after hours of struggling, it was totally exhausted, soaked, and honestly, a bit of a mess. Its legs were 4 times the length of its body, which led to constant, hilarious faceplants as it tried to walk. It even missed its food dish twice before finally figuring out how to eat. But once it did, it exploded in size, growing roughly 1 foot per month and rapidly outgrowing its indoor brooder before being moved outdoors. Now, before we go even higher in price, let's look at a really strange curveball. $0. This egg wasn't bought, it was found by accident. Tucked underneath a noisy, rattling outdoor AC unit was a warm, dirty, oblong egg. Whatever left it there was long gone. As our experiment grows, so do the rules. We already know quail and ostrich eggs need constant turning. But this wild found egg, which turned out to be an alligator egg, introduced a brand new, incredibly strict parameter. Held at 30 degrees Celsius with really high humidity, the absolute critical rule was do not rotate. 0 turning allowed. Fertilized alligator eggs usually sell for around $200, so finding this for free felt like a huge win. Until day 60 rolls around. Candling the egg, which is just shining a bright light through it in a dark room, revealed absolutely no shadow, no embryo, nothing. It was a total dead end, completely empty. But instead of giving up, this anticlimactic failure actually pushed the whole project towards something considerably bigger and far more dangerous. Which brings us to the $1,000 tier. We are escalating the stakes dramatically here. This involved hunting down a $5,000 egg that was already sold on Marketplace, tracking down the breeder by phone, and handing over $1,000 in cold hard cash for a single soft white egg. This specific egg targets the elite exotic pet tier, which can easily reach up to $10,000. So what was inside this $1,000 soft egg? A reticulated python. The stakes just jumped big time. We're talking about the longest snake species on Earth, capable of reaching a massive 7 meters in length. Handling an adult requires both arms, immense respect, and extreme caution. Setting this up required high-stakes precision. 31 degrees Celsius, 90% humidity, and that alligator rule came back, but this time with literal lethal consequences. Do not rotate. With python eggs, the embryo actually attaches to one interior wall within the first few hours. If you rotate the egg after that, you drown the embryo and it dies. So it was left entirely undisturbed for 70 long days. On day 70, a fully patterned 60-centimeter snake emerged in under a minute, staring right at the camera with a cold, calculating look. Watching this predator develop was fascinating. The very next morning, its eyes turned solid white, which looks terrifying, but it's actually the signal for its first shed. That shed took 40 minutes, coming off in one intact piece and revealing incredibly vivid coloring underneath. Interestingly, when tested with a mirror, it failed completely. Snakes just don't have self-recognition. But what they definitely do have is rapid growth. This python added roughly half a meter every few months. And here is where things get genuinely terrifying. During a drive to transport it to a new habitat, the enclosure was later found completely empty. The snake had escaped through a gap in the car's backseat cushions. Quail, ostrich, python, bigger, pricier, and harder to explain each time. But looking at the trajectory of this wild experiment, it leads us to a massive, nagging question. Why stop at animals that are actually still alive? Welcome to the unimaginable final escalation. This is a $100,000 investment into something entirely prehistoric. We are setting the stage for an animal that hasn't drawn breath, walked the earth, or seen the sun in 68 million years. So how do you actually pull this off? Well, step 1, you extract ancient genetic material using sequencing technology on a 68 million-year-old fossilized bone fragment. Step 2, you feed that into a DNA synthesizer, basically a biological 3D printer, and print a dark, veined synthetic egg. Since no one has ever found a confirmed egg for this species, this was pure scientific reconstruction. And step 3, incubation. The estimated temperature range for this species was impossibly high, so the creator improvised. They literally incubated the egg in an open flame in the backyard for 20 minutes. And from that fire, a hatchling emerged. It shook the ash off a small neck frill like it had just walked in from the rain. It was a triceratops. Its legs were too weak at first, so it collapsed immediately. It was born with just 2 small, soft nubs for horns, curving backward, which, amazingly, perfectly matched paleontology predictions for how they are born. 68 million years later, it was back. But bringing a dinosaur indoors? Yeah, that was the ultimate mistake. The problem with a triceratops is that it fundamentally does not register walls as obstacles. It just walks straight through them. By week 3, those backward curving horns had angled straight forward, just as fossil evidence predicts. Eventually, it punched a car-sized hole straight through an exterior street-facing wall. It rampaged through a nearby park, stripping every single tree bare and flattening flower beds, totally unbothered by the chaos it was causing. Which brings us to the creator's final, heavily understated realization. In hindsight, I probably should have thought this one through a little more. What starts as a simple $1 curiosity can escalate into an unstoppable force if you push the boundaries far enough. It really makes you wonder, when we finally have the technology to cross these ultimate biological lines, at what point does our endless curiosity become our own destruction? Think about that next time you pick up a carton of eggs at the store. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.